Hello YouTube and welcome back to Psychology Everyday Day 162. Now I hope the sound is okay. I'm actually going to get new sound any day now, but there might be something of an echo in here. Today I want to start a series where I go over specific Jungian symbols, and we're going to start out with animals because they're the best ones. I really should start with the snake because it is a very common theme, but we're actually going to start with the hyena. And the reason we're going to start with the hyena is because for me personally, when I started to sort of get into all of this with Jungian symbolism and how it can be used to interpret dreams, I actually when I start to get into something, I make sure to fully dive into it because you can't really stand on the sideline with some of these things and be sort of critical of it. It's kind of like trying to understand football by watching it. It is much better to actually play it. So when I started to get into this, I was like, I'm going to fully envelop myself in it. I'm going to believe it to the max. And then once I've gone through the experience, I'm going to try and, analyze it afterwards. And in this period, the hyena kept showing up in my dreams and my thoughts. And I was so caught up on it and I didn't understand why. And that's the fascinating thing, right, with all of this. Even if you are sort of the concrete person and think that most of this is just hocus pocus, there still is something to why we think or dream of animal A rather than animal B. And that is because we have, and this is just a short sort of explanation, from our subconscious. When we dream, we have our brain sending us messages, and we dream in pictures and not in words, because a picture says 1,000 words, right? It is much more efficient communication. But here's the thing, we don't actually dream in pictures. We dream, the brain sends us these underlying associations that we have with the pictures, and then the brain creates the pictures. So this sort of data transfer that the subconscious does to our conscious, or rather our middle conscious, I guess, is more efficient than pictures. So you have three levels. Words are very inefficient. And then you have pictures that are much more efficient. But the brain, via the dreams, or rather the constructs of the dreams, communicates in a level that is true, actually. Just actual truth in its own, mind. So, what does the hyena mean? Well, according to the sort of collective unconscious, which is, we all have ideas, right, based on stories, mythology, lore, on what animals are. And the hyena is what is known in Jungian psychology as a shadow animal, which is the opposite perhaps of what we think is good. So lore-wise, it is the opposite of the lion. The lion is noble, solar, the king, the Lion King, but we shouldn't get caught up completely on the Lion King. But the hyena, even in nature, is a sort of enemy or nemesis to the king. And it adds up, right? Because while the lion is the noble king, the hyena is a lowly scavenger. It is the trickster because of its laugh. And you know how punk rock is basically the enemy of the state or the man or the government? That is the hyena, because they are satire in animal form. They laugh and they poke holes and they test this sort of establishment. And while doing so, it keeps them in check. Because the first thing that a tyrant does, which is a different shadow of the king, is to execute the jester. But the hyena is sort of the immortal jester. It is the spirit of the jester, because they are extreme survivors, right? It is what they are best at. They are scavengers, they eat, they do whatever they can to survive, and they do survive. And that is why they are symbolically immortal. Doesn't matter if the king wants them dead, they won't die. And they are the shadow animal in so much that, well, beyond those things, in that they represent sides of a person that that person or a person may not want to recognize. And that is basically the modern version of the shadow when it comes to symbolic interpretation. Because they are pure in their authenticity, they laugh at everything and anything, something that is not socially acceptable. They are, not noble at all, quite the opposite actually. They are the lower class nemesis to the higher class. And I find this extremely fascinating, that I have kept dreaming about this, because I have, to a very high extent, had a big problem with taking myself and life too seriously. And something that the hyena, in my mind, perhaps embodies, is the notion that you should detach from life insofar that you should view it as a joke. Now, the hyena is something, of course, to be integrated. I think that if you go full hyena, that might not be bad. But like I said, you have to sort of completely envelop yourself in a viewpoint in order to integrate it. You have to take a bath in the shadow. And it really clicked on me just how important it is in some aspect to view life and everything in it, because life, encapsulates everything, as a joke, and to detach from it appropriately. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to make a couple of more on various different animals. And yeah, let's see how well we do. Have a fantastic day, everyone, and I will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.